Hello, everyone, and welcome. You are watching Eagle News America. I'm Anna Cui, coming to you from Las Vegas, Nevada. It is Sunday, the 27th day of June, 2021. We have updates from our correspondents across North America. Erlix Inocencio in Surfside, Florida.
Death toll rises to 9 after a Florida apartment complex collapses.
Thomas Legness in Edmonton, Alberta.
The Prime Minister urging less celebration and more national self-examination on Canada Day this year.
Laura Jarvina in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Resorts World opens in Las Vegas.
Jane Kathleen Gregorio in Corpus Christi, Texas, will bring us several stories from the Lone Star State. Philip Toledo in Atlanta reports about the Department of Justice suing Georgia over a voting law. Rose Papa Angeles in Washington, D.C. reports about the district now open, plus the heat emergency plan being activated due to rise in temperatures. For EBC Food, EBC Junior Friends shares with us why the pantry mainstay breakfast cereal is more than just. Plus, EBC friend Ethel Constantino in Raleigh, North Carolina, shares with us her recipe for keto sauteed ground pork with quail eggs. And for our roundtable, today is National Onion Day. Let's ask our team, onions, yay or nay? Our coverage begins now. For tonight's top story, Eagle News contributor Erlix Inocencio updates us about the recent apartment collapse in Surfside, Florida, killing 9 people and leaving dozens of families homeless.
The beach city of Surfside, Florida is still reeling after an apartment tower collapsed in the early hours of Thursday, June 24th. According to Surfside Mayor Charles Burkett, the death toll has now risen to 9, with more than 150 still missing. The collapse of the Champlain Tower South has left the interior of apartments exposed, while the other floors of the apartments can be seen pancaked on top of each other. The property is still cordoned off, and emergency and rescue personnel are still a continuous presence. But as the hours pass, the likelihood of finding more survivors grows increasingly slim. The cause of the collapse is still unknown. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis said debris with forensic value is being inspected to help determine the cause of the collapse. Eagle News will bring you more details on this developing story. Erlix Elijah Inocencio, Surfside, Florida, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
And live now, joining us is Erlix. Thank you, Erlix, for that report. Now, you were there at the site on Saturday. Can you describe the scene as you arrived? Were you able to get closer to property or even enter the property?
I was unable to enter the property, and then the surrounding building is also being blocked by first responders as well as firefighters and cleanup crew. But from what I saw, the site is truly disheartening. The building has folded on top of itself, and as well as the surrounding buildings have been affected. The balcony of Chamberlain Building East, the balconies have almost completely torn off, and it's really sad. Well, it's really sad.
I would imagine, that there were a lot of people there, especially emergency responders. Now, beside them, were there other people helping or, giving aid?
On Saturday, yes, there are many people giving aid. The Red Cross, Salvation Army, the Church of Christ, as well as other community volunteers from Surfside community and Miami-Dade County have all been helping with supporting the reunification center as well as helping with debris. Helping with debris.
Thank you, Erlix. Now, can you before I let you go, can you describe the general area where the apartment complex is situated?
The Chamberlain South building is located in a really residential area, also very close to the beach. So there's a lot of buildings near there, as well as businesses, small businesses, as well as other residents.
Well, thank you, Erlix, for that report. Hopefully, you can give us more updates as the story develops. Thank you for your report.
Thank you.
Tunisia's defense ministry says its navy had rescued 178 migrants who were trying to cross the Mediterranean from Libya to reach Europe. A ministry statement says 2 bodies were recovered and 178 migrants rescued during 3 operations off Tunisia's south coast. The migrants, who the ministry says were from Egypt, Tunisia, Syria, Ivory Coast, Bangladesh, Nigeria, Mali, and Ethiopia, had set off from the Libyan port of Zawara overnight Friday to Saturday. The International Organization for Migration, or IOM, says Tunisian authorities on Thursday intercepted 267 would-be migrants who had also begun the sea crossing from Libya, most of them Bangladeshis. Red Crescent official Mongi Slim warned Thursday that centers set up to house migrants in southern Tunisia were full. According to IOM figures, more than 1,000 migrants hoping to reach Europe had set off from Libya and ended up in Tunisia since January, and the number of departures is rising. According to the UN refugee agency UNHCR, there have been 11,000 departures from January to April 2021 from Libya, over 70% more than in the same period last year. The agency says the deteriorating conditions of migrants in Libya were pushing many to make the dangerous crossing from the North African coast to Europe. According to the UN, at least 760 people have died trying to make the Mediterranean crossing between January 1 and May 31. Meanwhile, in South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa reimposes restrictions for 2 weeks to combat a surge in the highly contagious coronavirus Delta variant. In a televised address to the nation, the president says the worst-hit country on the continent is facing a massive resurgence of infection. As he places the country on alert level 4, just 1 level below a full lockdown, he says health facilities are stretched to the limit. ICU beds are in short supply. Ramaphosa says the country is in the grip of a devastating wave that, by all indications, seems like it will be worse than those that preceded it.
The peak of this 3rd wave looks set to be higher than the previous 2 waves. The first wave, if we recall, lasted 15 weeks. The second wave lasted nearly 9 weeks. We don't know how long this one will last, but indications are that it could last longer.
Ramaphosa bans all gatherings except for funerals, where numbers will be capped at 50, and also orders a ban on the sale of alcohol. Eateries and restaurants will not be allowed to serve sit-down meals and will only be allowed to sell food for takeaway or delivery. A nighttime curfew has been lengthened by an hour, starting at 9 p.m. till 4 a.m., while all schools should be shut by Friday. South Africa now counts 1,928,897 coronavirus cases after recording 15,036 new cases on Sunday, a drop from the previous day when 18,762 new infections were diagnosed. The COVID-19 death toll stands at 59,900. Health officials across the world have been alarmed by the rapid spread of the Delta variant. The World Health Organization said on Friday that the Delta variant had reached at least 85 countries. In Ecuador, canines sniffing out COVID-19. You heard me right. French dog specialists teach members of the Ecuadorian Red Cross, Fire Brigade, Army, and Navy how to train dogs to sniff out COVID-19, which in the Latin America country has caused nearly 21,500 deaths and more than 453,000 infections. That is at 2,374 per 100,000 inhabitants. Philippe Salnave, commander of the French Fire Brigade, says everything is done on the basis of a game and the dogs are rewarded with a ball or something else. He says they must have quite strong trainees who know this work very well. And from the course they have right now with the 15 trainees, they have that. Here's today's COVID-19 numbers. According to the Coronavirus Resource Center of Johns Hopkins University in Medicine, as of 6 p.m. Eastern Time Sunday, June 27, 2021, the number of cases of COVID-19 reported worldwide is now more than 180,983,000. Top 3 on the list of countries with recorded cases: US over 33.6 million, India over 30.2 million, Brazil over 18.4 million. This virus has now already claimed more than 3,920,000 lives worldwide. Top 3 countries with the most number of COVID-19 related deaths are US more than 603,000, Brazil more than 513,000, and India more than 395,000. Total vaccine doses administered worldwide is now at 2,886,872,238. Back here in the US, Venice Beach in California, synonymous with sun, surf, palm trees, and now homeless people. As many as 200 tents inhabited by them line the oceanfront in this Los Angeles area town that for decades have been a lure for surfers and tourists. For them, home is a chaotic jumble of used anything that can help create shelter and of waste and detritus, all in appalling hygiene conditions. Up next, updates from Alberta and Nevada. Eagle News America continues.
Events happen around us all the time, in our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. In these interesting times, we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced. Eagle News, because we live in interesting times.
We know that this is a scary time for all of us.
The coronavirus is changing the world.
Changing our lives.
So please, take care of yourself.
Keep your distance.
Wash your hands.
And if you can, stay at home.
We at DW
are here for you.
We are working tirelessly to keep you informed on all of our platforms.
We're all in this together.
And together,
we'll make it through.
Stay safe, everybody.
Stay safe.
Stay safe.
Stay safe.
Please, stay safe.
You are watching Eagle News America. I'm Anna Cui in Las Vegas. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is urging Canadians to celebrate less and self-examine more as Canada Day approaches. In Alberta, Bureau Chief Thomas Likeness has the story. Thomas?
Thanks, Anna. Well, this Thursday marks the 154th birthday of Canada. The celebration will be a little more upbeat than last year. Of course, with the pandemic, everything was virtual last year. We'll have a little bit more live stuff this year, although in many parts of the country, the pandemic still looms and large celebrations in those regions have been called off. But this year, there are also growing calls to cancel any celebration at all. And this has nothing to do with the pandemic. These calls come on the heels of the discovery of more than 1,000 unmarked graves on the sites of 2 former residential schools for Indigenous children. These discoveries made in the past couple of weeks. The latest discovery was last week in Saskatchewan, neighboring province to ours, here in Western Canada. 751 graves were found. And across social media, there have been growing calls to cancel any planned Canada Day celebrations. You see the terms being bandied about. Cancel Canada Day. No pride in genocide. Let me give you a bit of background now. Residential schools began operating in the 1800s until 1996. Indigenous children were taken from their families and put into these schools. They were run primarily by churches for the federal government, the majority of them operated by the Catholic Church. Physical and sexual abuse was common in the schools, and here is how Prime Minister Justin Trudeau describes it.
This was an incredibly harmful government policy that was Canada's reality for many, many decades. And Canadians today are horrified and ashamed of how our country behaved. but a policy that ripped kids from their homes, from their communities, from their culture and their language, and forced assimilation upon them.
Canada has had a troubled relationship with its Indigenous people over the years, and these troubles have come to a head with the discovery of these graves and the likelihood that there are hundreds more on other residential school sites. Trudeau says as the country marks its 154th birthday, it should be a time of reflection for Canadians. He says not only will people recall the toll the pandemic has taken on the country, but also on how the country has treated its Indigenous people.
Many, many Canadians will be reflecting on reconciliation, on our relationship with Indigenous peoples and how it has evolved and how it needs to continue to evolve rapidly. We have so many things we need to work on together. And I think this Canada Day, it will be a time of reflection.
Although Trudeau and others before him have been long on talk, Indigenous leaders are critical. They say there's been little action. Words are not healing the damage done. Words are not ending the abject poverty that's endemic in these communities. Words are doing nothing to mitigate the fallout from these schools that led many people into a life of substance abuse and homelessness and an existence on the fringes of Canadian society. In Edmonton, Canada, Thomas I. Likeness, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Anna.
Thank you, Thomas, for that report. So what will Canada Day look like then this year?
Well, first, unlike America, where the 4th of July is, it's a huge event down there. We don't see those same overt patriotic displays up here. I think to begin with, Canadians tend to be a little bit more low-key about these things. But, over the years, there's also been deep divisions in our country. I think back to the 1970s when Quebec's separatist movement was at its height. There was opposition in that province to Canada Day, and it still isn't that big a deal among Quebec nationalists. In the 70s, the government of the day, which was incidentally led by Trudeau the Elder, Justin Trudeau's father Pierre, it tried to pump up the unity message every July 1st. Other major occasions, we would, the country's centennial, when we marked 100 years in 1967. We saw major celebrations as well. But, it's kind of an ebb and flow. Some years it's big, some years it isn't. And this year, with the discovery of the burial sites at former residential schools, the Indigenous community and those supporting it are very vocal about either canceling it or at least scaling back the holiday. They say there's nothing to celebrate, at least for them. As well, there are still public health restrictions in many parts of the country, so that's also led to some cancellations. But all in all, our national holiday pales in comparison to your celebration south of the 49th. Anna?
Thank you, Thomas. Yes, there will be a different celebration here for July 4th. But, and you mentioned, with any celebration there, we can understand the sentiments of those that are not wanting to have any kind of celebration, especially too with the COVID-19 situation there. I mean, what's the outlook for taming COVID-19 there in Canada?
Well, like your country, Anna, our vaccination rate is slowing down somewhat. It seems when you get to that 75% mark, that 3 out of 4 people who've had that first shot, you start running into some resistance. That's when the hesitancy and outright rejection of the vaccine becomes really noticeable. Now, the hesitant people, in many cases, they can be convinced. They're just a little bit unsure. But, the anti-vaxxers, I'm afraid they're a write-off when it comes to public health. And what we're aiming for up here is having at least 80% of the adult population immunized. And this is the number that public health says is needed to ward off that highly contagious Delta variant. You alluded to it in the first part of the program. I've mentioned it in my report. This variant is not only more contagious, but it's shown some resistance to the vaccine. Now, at the same time, public health experts are telling people you got to maintain some basic personal protective measures, masks, if you're indoors, keeping your distance, and above all, sanitize, wash your hands. The big thing is we don't want to give the variants a chance to spread. if we can contain the variants, we can avoid these dreaded words. Fourth wave. Anna?
Thomas, those are scary, scary 2 words that, we don't want to hear. What are your public health people saying about that possible 4th wave?
Well, they're saying the biggest hurdle to ending the pandemic, ending the grip that COVID has had on our country, is the Delta variant. That's the view of our Chief Public Health Officer, Dr. Teresa Tam. And again, she's saying to achieve the herd immunity that we need, 80% of the population, the adult population, has to be fully vaccinated, not just one shot, but both shots. And looking at the modeling, she released some modeling this past Friday that they did with the Delta variant. If only 75% of the population is fully vaccinated and we lift measures such as mask wearing and social distancing, she's by all means not calling for a lockdown, but she's talking about the mask laws, the social distancing. If we lift those with only 75% of the population vaccinated, our healthcare system could be overwhelmed again this fall and winter. But again, they're just going to be swamped with COVID-19 patients. But she says if we get to that 80% level, those measures could be safely lifted. Now, what worries me is in my province here, Alberta, all restrictions are coming off this Thursday. That's it. We can kind of do what we want. And, I really do not want to go through this again this fall. So I'm just hoping we're not moving too fast here in Alberta. Anna?
Thank you, Thomas, for your report. And I'm sure we'll hear more updates. Thank you. And we'll talk to you on the roundtable. I'm curious to see what you have to say about onions.
Can't say enough about them. I'll let you know then.
Thank you, Thomas. Now, here in Las Vegas, guests were eager to check out the newest mega resort added to the Strip. Here to give us a glimpse, Eagle News correspondent Lori Jarvina is with us tonight. Lori?
Locals also came to enjoy and see the new resort. Let's take a listen.
I'm Kalena. This is Brian. We're here from Las Vegas and just checking out the new hotel and casino. It's gorgeous. Everything is beautiful.
What do you think makes it stand out from the other hotels on the Strip?
It's just so grand. It just goes on, and the way it all ties together is fantastic.
Did you try the food, the street food?
Not yet. We're on our way. Did you want to join us?
Resorts World Hotel is definitely creating a buzz in the community, and one very unique section that must not be missed is my favorite part of the resort. You might have guessed it, the dining scene. Resorts World has a unique take on their food court area. Famous Foods Street Eats is inspired by the Southeast Asia markets and street foods, where vendors and small restaurants sell authentic local cuisine. It boasts 16 food stalls from around the world. To name a few are Achun Shandong Dumpling, which offers traditional Shandong dumplings and hand-pulled noodle dishes. Bon Tong Ki serves Hainanese chicken. Fuhu Shack brings Peking duck burritos. Gaylong Clay Pot Rice features traditional Southeast Asian rice dishes. Pepita's Kitchen offers Filipino food such as lechon staples from Dida de la Fuente. Springleaf Prata Place serves South Indian cuisine. Tan Sun's Braised Beef brings Thai beef noodle dishes. Tiger Sugar offers Taiwanese bubble tea shop. Street Bird Las Vegas serves fried chicken. And there's Kuru Kuru Pa Yakitori. Italian food and Texas barbecue are also options. There are also fine dining restaurants such as Brezza, where guests can be seated and enjoy an elegant atmosphere. Not all venues are open yet, with some that will be opening in the next few weeks. So when planning your next trip to Las Vegas Resorts World is definitely worth a visit. Don't forget to come hungry and be ready to enjoy this newest resort. Today's forecast is a sunny and clear with a high of 106 degrees Fahrenheit or 41 degrees Celsius. In Las Vegas, Nevada, Lori Jarvina, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Anna.
Thank you, Lori. Yeah, wouldn't you agree that this heat, the high temperatures, does not stop the tourists from coming from all over the place to check out this new property? What do you think of it? Is it worth battling the crowd?
So we actually went on a Sunday morning. So we purposefully did not want to battle the crowds because it was a huge grand opening. We saw, other news items too, that the crowds were just enormous, but it was so impressive. So even on a Sunday morning, there were definitely a lot of people, like you said. It was only 100 degrees in the morning, so maybe that made people come earlier in the day. Anna?
100 degrees. Yeah, we do hit that, right? I think by 9 a.m. here, right, Lori? Now, I think, people are so excited, not just the locals, but also the tourists, because it's been a while. I think the last ground up property that was built was back in 2010 with Cosmopolitan. So that's why people are so excited about it. Now, how would you say it compares to other hotels on the Strip?
So it's also unique. Yes, it's brand new, and with that comes all the digital age renovations. So with the eateries, you can have an app on your phone, and actually, like through Grubhub Association, they can deliver to your room for the guests. You can also reserve online through the app, and they also have the stalls or the kiosks where you can order the food instead of standing in line. I love to read reviews, Anna, and so I read a lot of reviews already of first impressions of this hotel. So they said it could stand to use a little bit more finessing. There were some technical issues, which is expected for a grand opening. But I do think that this will be a very popular spot, especially for foodies, with that street market or the street food vendors. Anna?
Absolutely, Lori. Well, thank you so much. I know you'll go back there and try, and then you can let us know how that works. And then we'll talk to you again at the roundtable about onions.
Thanks, Anna.
Thank you, Lori. Still to come, updates from Georgia, Washington, D.C., and Texas. Eagle News America will return in a moment. Stay with us.
Innovation, digital disruption, globalization. Startups, micro, small, and medium enterprises, as well as large corporations, all face interesting challenges in the market today. Peek into the world of exciting opportunities and partnerships to drive growth with the latest business news and information. We are open for business. Your weekly dose of entrepreneurial inspiration to update you on the latest developments in the world of business. Get up close and personal with CEOs and thought leaders to help you discover valuable insights, sharpen your instincts for smart decision making with the latest markets and economic trends, disruptive ideas, global innovation, social entrepreneurship, and other leading-edge business ideas. Join the conversations to create a more vibrant environment for entrepreneurship. Catch Open for Business, from vision to action.
This is Eagle News America. I'm Anna Cui in Las Vegas. The Department of Justice is suing the state of Georgia over a controversial voting law. In Atlanta, Bureau Chief Philip Toledo tells us more.
Thanks. Late last week, the U.S. Department of Justice announced it was suing the state of Georgia over its controversial voting law. Georgia Senate Bill 202 was signed into law in March of this year and drew sharp criticism from Democrats and activists, claiming its provisions target and hinder Black and other minorities from voting. Attorney General Merrick B. Garland said, quote, "This lawsuit is the first step of many we are taking to ensure that all eligible voters can cast a vote, that all lawful votes are counted, and that every voter has access to accurate information." The lawsuit challenges several provisions of the bill, including the shortening of the deadline to request absentee ballots from 11 days before Election Day, more stringent ID requirements in order to vote, limitations on the use of ballot drop boxes, and prohibitions on allowing groups to hand out food and water to those in line. Georgia Governor Brian Kemp issued a press release and fired back on social media, stating, quote, "This lawsuit is born out of the lies and misinformation the Biden administration has pushed against Georgia's Election Integrity Act from the start." Opponents of the bill say that it itself was founded on lies, saying it stems from the still unproven claims of widespread fraud in the 2020 election, which saw Georgia swing blue and steal assumed electoral votes from President Trump to then candidate for President Joe Biden. In COVID news, the state is sitting at just over 900,000 cases, with new cases fairly steady and low. The state is still behind others, with only 38% of the population fully vaccinated, catching up to the first dose rate of 43%. Now, that said, being out and about in Atlanta this weekend, many people have given up the mask. In Atlanta, Georgia, Philip Toledo, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you.
Thank you, Philip. Now let's head over to the nation's capital, where Eagle News correspondent Rose Papaangelis reports about the mayor announcing that the district is open. The story and more from Rose.
Thank you. Washington, D.C. is open. In a letter published by the Office of Mayor Muriel Bowser, the district is welcoming visitors back to the soon-to-be 51st state of the United States. Mayor Bowser asked residents to help spread the word that D.C. is open. She says the district wants the people to know that D.C. is a great place to come if you like not only history, but also good food, concerts, sports, fantastic playgrounds, and pools. Not to mention the nice hotels, whether traveling alone, with friends, or with the family. In the same letter, Mayor Bowser continues to encourage residents to get the COVID-19 vaccine if they haven't received it yet. Meanwhile, due to the current temperatures and forecasts of extreme heat, Mayor Bowser has activated the district's heat emergency plan for today, Sunday, June 27th through Wednesday, June 30th, 2021. When the forecast of the temperature or heat index in the district is 95 degrees or higher, district government through the Department of Human Services, DHS, and the Homeland Security and Emergency Management Agency, HSEMA, implements the heat emergency plan and activates cooling centers for residents to seek relief from the heat. While some cooling centers will open specifically when a heat emergency is activated, many of the district's cooling centers will be available during their regular business hours. If you or someone you know needs transportation to a cooling center, please call the shelter hotline at 202-399-7093. Residents may find their closest cooling center using the district's interactive map. For more information about services provided during a heat emergency, please visit heat.dc.gov or call the mayor's citywide call center by dialing 311. District spray parks are open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day through Labor Day, Monday, September 6, 2021. On Monday, June 28, the district's outdoor pools will begin operating during weekday hours, opening at 10 a.m. For the operating hours of each pool, visit dpr.dc.gov/page/outdoor-pools. Currently, it is 89 degrees Fahrenheit or 32 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital. Precipitation is at 1%, humidity at 54%, and winds are 10 miles per hour. In Washington, D.C., Rose Papaangelis, Eagle News. We'll live in interesting times. Back to you.
Thank you, Rose, for that report. Several stories from the Lone Star State tonight. Bureau Chief Jane Kathleen Gregorio joins us this evening. Jane?
Thank you, Anna, and howdy from the Lone Star States. Last Wednesday, just before Vice President Kamala Harris's scheduled visit to El Paso, Governor Abbott had issued the following statement. The Vice President was named border czar over 90 days ago, and in that time, Texans have had their homes broken into. property damage, and guns pointed at their heads as cartels, smugglers, and human traffickers profit off the Biden administration's reckless open border policies. I launched Operation Lone Star in March to combat this record high influx of people and crime. And since then, the Department of Public Safety has arrested over 1,700 criminals, apprehended over 41,000 migrants, and seized enough fentanyl to kill over 21 million people. Texas has been and continues to step up to protect Texans and Americans. On Friday, Governor Greg Abbott urged county judges across Texas to each submit a 2-year projected budget for expenses related to the ongoing border crisis through the online border budget forecast form, which will be used by the state of Texas to request additional border security funding from the legislature during the upcoming special session to take place on July 8th. Governor Abbott stated, as the Biden administration continues to ignore the crisis at the border, the state of Texas is stepping in to ensure our counties have the resources and support they need to keep their communities safe. I urge county judges to fill out the border budget forecast form by July 9th to ensure the state of Texas has the information needed to secure additional funding to combat the ongoing crisis at the southern border. This announcement follows the Governor's Border Security Summit that was held in Del Rio on June 10th and the Border Wall Strategy Press Conference held in Austin on June 16th, where Governor Abbott signed a letter to the Texas Facilities Commission directing them to hire a program manager to oversee construction of the Texas border wall. Once hired, the program manager and contractors will identify state land and land of private landowners and local governments can volunteer for the wall. The governor has also signed a letter to President Joe Biden demanding the immediate return of any land taken by the federal government to build the border wall. Once returned, Texas will talk to those property owners about the possibility of Texas using that land to build the wall. The governor also announced a donation page, www.borderwall.texas.gov, where donors can voluntarily contribute to the construction of the border wall. The fund will be maintained by the Texas Division of Emergency Management. In other news, the city of Corpus Christi has announced beach, island, and traffic webcams to be launched on its city website. In a partnership between Corpus Christi Department of Public Works and the Information Technology Department, 2 webcams at 2 key intersections have been added on North Padre Island, located at the intersections of Aquarius and Park Road 22, and at the intersection of Commodores and Park Road 22. These webcams are to serve as another resource and tool to provide tourists and land residents with a chance to monitor island traffic prior to enjoying a day on the beach. These are additional benefits the city is adding in its journey towards making Corpus Christi a destination getaway. These cameras can be viewed 24/7 by visiting www.cctexas.com/gulf-beaches-webcams. Meanwhile, I hope you are staying safe in your part of the world. In Corpus Christi, Texas, I'm Jane Kathleen Gregorio, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Anna.
Thanks, Jane Kathleen. I like the idea of the webcams, right? I mean, especially those visiting, they can really plan ahead and, avoid the traffic if need be. So, but anyway, on your main story, Kathleen, I heard the border had a visitor on Friday. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, Anna. On Friday, Vice President Harris had paid a visit to the El Paso Border Patrol Station and the El Paso del Norte port of entry. She was accompanied by Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, U.S. Senator Dick Durbin, and U.S. Representative Veronica Escobar, and they met with local non-government agencies that are working with immigrants. And Vice President Harris posted on her Twitter, "What happens at the border is directly connected to the work we are doing to address the root causes of migration from Central America. As I made clear during my trip to El Paso today, the president and I are committed to strengthening our immigration system at every level." Anna?
Well, thank you, Jane Kathleen, for that report. Now, we're going to be talking about food in the roundtable, and I know you're a foodie, so I will look forward to chatting with you then.
Thank you, Anna.
Up next, EBC Food and today's roundtable about onions. Yay or nay? In Eagle News America, we'll be right back. Stay with us.
It's time to take one step further and face the impossible. Time to search the unknown and fight for the truth. Time to overcome boundaries and connect the world. It's time for DW News.
Broadcast journalist Wang de la Fuente returns on Philippine television and radio to deliver top stories and engage with the country's policymakers, shapers, and movers. Tatalakayin ang mga pangunahing balita live sa teleradyo ng Net25 at Radyo Aguila DCEC 1062. Kasama si Wang de la Fuente sa Balit Talakayan.
Ako si Wang de la Fuente at itong Balit Talakayan will live in interesting times.
Hey there, Arnie Aquino here at Hatley Castle, one of the filming locations for the X-Men series. Don't forget to tune in to Digital Nest only on Net25.
Factual.
We have to defeat the virus everywhere.
Timely information. Balanced. Not only in the country, but also abroad.
I'm certain of one thing.
Interviews that people need to know. Watch Aguila Pilipinas. A 1-hour newscast of reports coming from regional hubs in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Know the important updates in Asia in ASEAN in Focus. Track the latest stories in the provinces in Aguila Provincia. Tune into Mata ng Aguila, the evening primetime news program of Net25. Balanced and objective, Mata ng Aguila covers national and international issues, tackles news on business, health, science and technology, entertainment, sports and human interest features, and current events. And Eagle News International delivers the latest global reports, impartial, accessible, and up-to-date. It brings to fore EBC's rich international scope and access to valuable information streams.
Well, thank you to explain our health outdoor.
Catch these programs on Net25. You can also watch our news programs through eaglenews.ph and Eagle News Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Welcome back. This is Eagle News America. Now, cereal is a breakfast mainstay in almost every household here in the country. Tonight, however, EBC friends Sarah and David Cuscio share with us this fun way to enjoy it other than at the breakfast table, in a bowl with milk.
While we know that some adults consume cottage cheese and coffee in the morning, yuck! Cereal is always a sure hit for kids. Sarah, what's your favorite cereal? Wrist cereal, David. Wrist cereal? What's that? Behold! Yum, 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 yum. Making jewelry out of cereal is a fun arts and crafts activity. What tasty trinkets are kids able to make? Describe the steps into making your cereal jewelry.
Number 1, I tied one end of the string to the spoon. Number 2, I put the cereal on the string. Number 3, I wore it. And number 4, I ate it.
So making the jewelry, what we did, we had some string and we cut it to the desired length that we wanted. So for me, I made it so that the string was enough to wrap around my neck. And after that, we took our cereal with little holes in them, and then we kind of just used the holes and used it to attach it to the string. And once it was full, we tied it and then we started wearing our jewelry.
While you were making your jewelry, did you eat any of the cereal? If so, how much did you eat?
Yes, I ate cereal while making the jewelry, and I don't know how much I ate, but I ate a lot.
I ate like 5 pieces. I ate 2. Before making cereal jewelry, when was the last time you ate cereal?
The last time I ate cereal is last weekend.
And the last time I ate cereal was probably a couple months ago.
I ate cereal like probably around the beginning of the year.
After making cereal jewelry, what was the very next thing that you ate? Hopefully some of the kids say more cereal.
My other necklace. The next thing I ate is nothing.
I ate noodles.
The next thing I ate was still cereal.
So there you have it. Kids prove that cereal can both be delicious and fashionable. And remember, while eating cereal by itself is okay, cereal is always better with wrist milk. Wrist milk. I'll get you a bowl instead. In North Hills, California, Sarah and David, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Sarah and David, for that very fun way of sharing what to do with your cereal. I guess that would be the exception of having your parents tell you not to play with your food, right? I'm actually surprised, though, that those kids, doesn't eat cereal every day. Well, I don't know about you, but I am getting hungry. So ABC friend Ethel Constantino shares with us her recipe for sautéed ground pork with quail eggs, keto version.
Hello everyone, from Raleigh, North Carolina, I'm Ethel Constantino. Today we are going to make a low-carb version of sautéed ground pork with quail eggs. This dish is perfect for those following a keto or low-carb way of eating. So let's get started. And here are the ingredients that we need. 2 tablespoons olive oil, 1 tablespoon chopped garlic, 2 tablespoons chopped onions, 1 cup ground pork, 1/4 cup chopped red bell pepper, 1 tablespoon fish sauce, 1 teaspoon salt, 1 teaspoon black ground pepper, and 12 pieces boiled and peeled quail eggs. First, heat up a pan, then add the oil. When the oil is hot, saute the onions until fragrant and translucent. Then add the garlic, saute until light brown. We can now add the ground pork and let's saute this for 8 minutes. Then add the bell pepper, saute for 3 minutes. Let's season with fish sauce, salt, and black pepper. Then lastly, add the quail eggs and cook this for another 3 minutes. So here we have it. This is the low-carb sauteed ground pork with quail eggs. This is better served with steamed cauliflower rice. I hope you enjoyed cooking sauteed ground pork with quail eggs with me. In Raleigh, North Carolina, I'm Ethel Constantino, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Ethel. Did you guys see that the onions is one of the ingredients for that recipe? Well, June 27 is National Onion Day. And whether you prefer the white, red, or my personal favorite, yellow onions, they can really add flavor to your favorite dish. Not to mention, fill your kitchen with that delicious aroma. So we're going to talk to our team here tonight. How much you like onions? What's your favorite dish that you put onions to and add onions to? Maybe any tips on how to peel or slice onions without tearing up, right? So let's start with Thomas. Thomas, tell us, how much do you like onion or not?
Onions, I love them. Let me count the ways. That may be why I don't have many friends either, but I'll fry them with things like hash browns, mushrooms, and green peppers, throw in a couple of eggs, and that's breakfast. But just about everything else I cook has onions in it: stews, calderetta, spaghetti, the stuffing and roast turkey or chicken. Oh, if you make a roast beef or a roast pork, quarter an onion and place it around the meat before you put it in the oven. And then with the leftovers, nothing like a sliced Spanish onion. Put a thin slice of that on your roast beef sandwich. It's great, even on pizza. Oh, hey, what about onion rings? Did I tell you I like onions?
Yes, I guess that would definitely be a yay for you, Thomas. But so hang on tight. We'll probably come back to you here in a minute. Now, what about Erlix? Erlix, do you like onions or not?
I think I'm on the same age as Thomas. I really love onions. I think onions go great with most dishes. But I think my favorite dish with onions will have to be my mom's beefsteak. It's top notch. It's really good. Onions. And also green onions. Green onions are a great topping for almost everything.
Yes, beefsteak. That sounds good. That is one of the main ingredients. See, I know how to cook beefsteak. So thanks to Erlix. Now, how about Jane Kathleen? I know you're a foodie. Tell us onions or no onions?
You know, it's hard to be a foodie and not love onions. Onions are so aromatic, especially when you start frying them with garlic and sometimes tomato. And so it just creates like this really, really delicious smell that just, you know, wakes you up in the morning. So, but yes, I love onions. Maybe I prefer them, you know, cooked or sautéed versus fresh. But you know, either way, you know, I really love them. My favorite kind of onion is the red onion. And when I was living in Hawaii, and I think it was Lori that introduced me to the Maui onion, which is so sweet. It tastes like an apple. It's like when you bite into it, it's like it's very sweet and very, very fragrant. Although I'm not sure what my friends would have to say talking to me afterwards. Yes,
I was gonna say, you know, I see those people that can bite into like a fresh onion. I'm guessing that Thomas and you mentioned you do that. I don't know. I prefer them cooked, definitely. Well, thanks, Kathleen. What about Lori? Yes or no to onions? And what's your favorite dish with them?
I'm definitely with Kathleen, and I think the rest so far on yes to onions. In fact, I did have an onion and tomato omelet this morning when Thomas was talking about you know, making omelets with onions, and I can't eat them raw, but maybe red onions a little bit in your what is it with the avocado? It escapes me right now.
Guacamole.
Oh,
guacamole. Like this. Thanks, foodie friend.
Yes, there's nothing like a fresh guacamole with onions. I have to tell you, one time I made guacamole and I think I put too much onions in it, and it ruined it because I put a little bit too much. When you put too much, it gives it that bitter taste. Now, I know we all experience, right? I want to hear the first time you ever cut into an onion, and tell us about that. Thomas? And any tips you can give on maybe we can teach Erlix. We have to ask Erlix if he's already started cooking. Give us some tips.
I just push through when I'm cutting that onion. Some of them are how shall I say, more potent than others. So I do cry, particularly, if I'm dicing them up. I guess one way you could get around that is kind of just pulse them in a food processor, but that's for amateurs. I like to use the knife.
Yeah, I think that the smaller you dice them, right, the worse it is. Have you learned any tips on how to, lessen the stinging when you're cutting onions?
Somebody told me if you do it underwater. I don't know how you would do that.
That would be kind of tricky, right? Cutting them underwater.
Yeah, like I say, I just the end result is worth the suffering.
Thank you, Thomas. Now, Erlix, have you cut into an onion yet? Helping your mom in the kitchen, making that beef steak?
Yeah. Yes, a hobby of mine is actually cooking. So onions have been in a lot of my dishes. But my trick is just to do it fast, and even if you're like rough cuts, it's okay. I think it tastes the same in the end, but quick and easy is the go-to method.
Wow, that's impressive. Already cooking at 17. Any viewers watching Erlix, that's one thing to look for.
Hey, that's
right?
a good time to learn. I had to learn to cook before I went to university. You get better food that way and a whole lot cheaper.
All right. Well, we have a few more seconds. Lori, quickly, what was your experience with cutting your first onion?
I'm a crier. I don't mind the tears. In fact, I may revel in the tears as I cut onions, so I don't mind at all.
And Kathleen, 10 more seconds. How was your first experience?
I don't mind the tears either because they're tears of love. But maybe now that we have face shields, maybe that can help alleviate the tears.
Oh, that's a good idea. Now, you know what helps me with when I cut onions is I wear contact lenses, and it doesn't seem to bother me as much Actually, it doesn't bother me at all when I cut onions. So that's my trick, I guess. Wear my contacts when I'm cutting onions. Well, thank you, team, for joining with us in the roundtable. It is my favorite part of the episode. Now it's time to thank our frontline workers, first responders, and essential workers with a much-deserved round of applause. So let's join hands and give them that. We continue to appreciate each and every one of you. And happy first day of, that was a couple weeks ago. Happy first day of summer. That is today's Eagle News America. Thank you for joining us. I am Anna Clee, and we live in interesting times.